Hey everyone, Richard from Digital Foundry here, and this is our kind of more extended report on what we've seen on Xbox One X at Gamescom 2017. And well, day one was a bit of a disaster because we just saw the E3 wares really, and then Shadow of War, which was looking nice. And that was kind of it. But then day two, we found out behind a kind of black ribbon back area on the Xbox stand, kind of like an Aladdin's cave of
Yes, it was a cave of wonders hidden with lots of Xbox One X games, which all older games, I suppose, so they kind of stuck them back there. But it's the best impression we've had of Xbox One X
I mean,
yet.
it was a game changer. But first of all, titles that we saw previously, Super Lucky's Tale was there. It seemed to be the same code we saw at E3. AC Origins, we're going to do a breakout video on that. We've got Capture. Same with Shadow of War, which was looking nice, native 4K. But we're going to be talking about the enhanced Xbox One X titles, which a lot of people really wanted to see at E3, and we didn't. And, well, yeah, they were worth waiting for. So where do we start?
Let's start with the one I think a lot of people are most curious about. The only one that's maybe not native 4K.
Yeah.
That is Quantum Break.
Yeah.
Which, as a refresher, on Xbox One, the base resolution was 720p.
Yeah.
And then it used sort of a temporal reconstruction of their own design to get up to a 1080p pixel count. But if you've played the game, you know that when you move the camera around, there's a lot of smearing and loss in resolution.
Yeah.
And well, that's the same thing here, but the still pixel count does appear to resolve to native 4K from what we could tell by eye.
Yeah, in the same way that kind of the first one resolved to kind of 900p, that this one resolves closer to 4K.
Yep.
We'll have to do some measurements. We took some photographs of the screen to kind of get an idea of what that base resolution is. We'll post that as soon as we can. I'm guessing, I don't know, if it's a straight scale of Xbox One, it will be 1440p, but it could be 1080 as the base. 1080 kind of seems more likely.
To be fair, it's still a super demanding game. Even on the PC, if you turn off the temporal reprojection or reconstruction feature, it absolutely murders GPUs.
Yeah.
So the end result, though, is that it does look nice in a 4K screen. Much better than it does on regular Xbox One X. That's a strong title.
Yeah, the bad news is none of the footage you're seeing here is going to be captured direct from Xbox One X. For some reason, they don't want to show you these titles.
They don't want you to see it.
Maybe they just want to stagger the coverage. But the bottom line is that it was looking good, and that was kind of, in terms of your pixel counts, your resolutions, that was actually the weakest title that was there. It was the only one that was not rendering at native 4K. So. Where do we go next?
Next up, I'd say, is Gears of War 4, which is one of the most impressive titles on Xbox One already.
Yep.
And yes, it is in fact native 4K on Xbox One X with that excellent temporal anti-aliasing that Unreal Engine 4 has. And we played 3 different sections from the campaign, one of which was pretty impressive looking.
Yeah, the kind of bike scene.
Yeah, there was the bike sequence, there was the defend the village early on in Chapter 1, and then there was the scene towards the end where you're marching around in a mech, basically. And fully 4K, excellent texture filtering, super stable image.
Yep.
I mean, it was locked 30 frames per second, which, that's perhaps the only difference between Xbox and the PC there. Aside from that, it looks just like the PC version running at the highest settings.
Yeah, we'll need to check that.
We'll need to confirm the settings for sure, but it seems...
At the very least, you're getting the Xbox One version at native 4K with much higher quality assets and very high quality texture filtering.
Yes, so Gears of War 4 is looking very nice.
Anything on top of that, gravy. But yeah, that bike sequence is really demanding on GPU, and it was holding up pretty perfectly, I think.
It was.
Very impressive stuff. Titanfall 2, we were talking about native resolution. That one isn't native resolution, but it has a dynamic scaler that goes above and below 4K. Respawn Entertainment have had it up to 6K apparently. What do you reckon of that one? I mean, I played it, it seemed to be like the PC version pretty much.
Yeah, no, it feels like a step up from the PlayStation 4 Pro version, which I think was capped at a max of 1440p.
Yeah.
This one looked to be hanging around 4K
much
more often.
It looked really good, and it was actually a really mech heavy.
Yeah, it was lots of alpha effects, explosions and action.
I mean,
frame rate was solid.
The game looks soft on PC at 4K.
Yeah, it does.
It's just the way the anti-aliasing technique works. It looked fantastic. I thought I want to play more. So that was impressive. Next up, Killer Instinct.
Yes, Killer Instinct famously launched at 720p on Xbox One, then was patched later up to 900p. Now we're at native 4K.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out for me there was that kind of video elements were still the original OG assets. So that
doesn't
kind
look
of,
good.
yeah, it didn't really work. But yeah, the gameplay is locked 60, definitely native 4K, and it was pretty impressive stuff. Next up, well, where should we go from here?
There's F1 2017.
Codemasters.
Which I think actually had the best image quality we've seen on Xbox One today.
Yeah, the image quality was just tremendously good.
It was again native 4K, but the anti-aliasing in use was really, really good. And it was unbelievably sharp. Texture filtering was excellent. I mean, the image was just pristine. But yes.
Yeah, performance wasn't great. Adaptive VSync, dropping frames.
Yeah.
Lots of cars on screen causes that. It looked great. I mean, I'm hoping that they can put some more time in. I mean, it kind of looked pristine, so you know, it's just the frame rate that was the issue there, but I suspect it's probably the same on the base system.
We shouldn't be too hard on the frame rate because from what I can tell, it looked like it was dipping into the 50s, right? So it wasn't like crashing down to like 30 or 40 frames per second. It was still relatively high, but because it's adaptive VSync, you get sort of tearing while playing, which is a little distracting, but still, overall, it looks good.
Where next? A Path of Exile? Not too much we can say about that.
I mean, Path of Exile was 4K 60.
Yeah.
It wasn't using especially strong anti-aliasing, but it was very sharp. It ran very smoothly.
Yeah.
It looked good.
World of Tanks, native 4K.
World of Tanks was also native 4K, very clean image quality.
Stable frame rate,
Stable
30
frame
frames
rate.
I think on that.
Yep.
And well, that's kind of about it, really, isn't it? We saw older titles like Super Lucky's Tale, the same E3 code that we'd already seen.
Yep.
But overall, it was a game-changing presentation for us, I think, because we're getting the validation of the 4K claims. We're not seeing drops in performance in key titles like Titanfall 2 and Gears 4. Quantum Break was solid as well.
Yep. I think that's the key right there is we got the same or better performance than the original versions, and almost all of them were at native 4K, and it did look good. So thus far, it does feel like they are living up to their claims of 4K resolution for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of worried there'd be no software after day one because we literally didn't see these titles that were all stuffed into the back. But it was pretty awesome, actually. It's kind of changed my view of the system in terms of the fact that we haven't been seeing software. I mean, these were key titles from first and third-party developers.
And here's the best part. It was running on what looked like finished units.
Yes.
Previously, everything we saw was on debug kits, and we still saw a lot of debug units this time, but here they actually had the real unit set up, they had all the cables plugged in, put your hand around the back, it was blowing out hot air.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was clearly running the actual system. The Xbox UI and everything was there.
Yeah, and it was a world apart from E3 where there was quite a lot of PC code.
Yeah, they faked a lot of them at E3 they just had the Xbox on top with a light on, but there was no air coming out, no cables plugged in, and there was a PC under the desk. You'd see a mouse cursor, but here it was the real hardware running the real games, 4K resolution on most of them, with the exception of Quantum Break and the dynamic resolution on Titanfall 2, and then of course other titles that we know like Assassin's Creed Origins, which we'll be talking about separately.
Yeah, I think we're going to leave it there though. I think the takeaway message though, it's all kind of good news really though, isn't it? Yeah, it's
I came away really impressed. It feels overall it feels like a more solid launch than what we got with the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, and we're still several months out as well.
And we're still several months out. I mean, at this point last year, the PS4 Pro wasn't even officially announced, right?
Right.
So it's looking good.
Okay, well, all good news then. We're going to leave it right there. Please do like and subscribe to support our work, and we'll be back soon with more coverage. Thanks for watching.